I'm joined today by series stars Jane Levy, Mary Steenburgen, and Lauren Graham for a conversation about, in my humble opinion, this year's best new show. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And then, Lauren, you actually have quite an impressive background when it comes to professionally singing and dancing. You've been on Broadway before. So how did the show kind of expand on your prior experience?
I don't have nearly the experience that some of our incredible singers have on the show. I have like a limited, there's certain parts that I could sing, but I don't have a huge range like, you know, Skylar or Alex Newell or anything. But it's just always been a love of mine. And I started in musical theater and like community theater. And I was Dolly in Hello, Dolly in high school. Thank you. And no. And, you know, it's just something I've always really loved. And Jane is a dear friend. And one thing I think is so cool about Jane's, if you call it lack of experience, is she just sings so naturally. Like she sings the way she acts, which is just, she connects to the emotion or the truth of the song. So pure and I think just beautiful. And but this was just a chance. There were so many things I liked about it. I liked that it was musical. I liked that it was Jane. And I also have not gotten to play a part like this. I play like dorky best friend or whatever, and it felt like a challenge to me to be a believable, scary, somewhat slightly scary and off-kilter boss. Like that was really the challenge more than anything. And I found that I really liked it. I really liked, and also the character kind of translated into real life. Like I am not I don't bark orders, but suddenly people will be like, do you need a soda? Do you need it right now? And I was like, no, I'm just playing hard. So it was just really fun to try something new.
But did any of you have a favorite that either you performed or your castmates performed?
I remember the first time I heard Lauren, the recording of Satisfaction, and I was like, oh my God, I already love and adore and look up to Lauren in many ways. But then when I heard her sing and like bust out of the bathroom stall, I was totally blown away. And one of my favorite parts of the series is her headbang in the elevator. And when she's going like this to Skylar.
And I can't get no satisfaction. I love the bathroom in the bathroom with the blower going.
So good.
And Lauren, do you have any favorites from the season?
Oh, I feel the same way. It's too hard to pick one, and it feels wrong. I love, you know, everything I got to do was a crazy challenge, and I agree with Mary that the feeling of being, like I can feel it now, the feeling of being part of American Pie was just unlike anything I'd ever experienced. And I have just the weirdest soft spot for I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. Like when I think about it, because I was in that scene and Jane had to do it 52 times and she like nearly fainted. And it was just so funny. And like that challenge of I'm doing something that my body's doing something that my brain doesn't know about or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. Is really difficult. Like and it was just fascinating to watch. I loved all of Mary's stuff with Peter, and I just think that's such an important part of the show is that connection, that relationship, and all those numbers were fantastic. But everything's incredible. It's and everyone's really different, and I love that we come from all these different backgrounds. It's not Glee. It's not meant to be it's about these characters' inner lives, and so that gives you a lot of leeway to be a good singer. But it's really more the moment of storytelling is just as important.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the moment when Jane had to sing "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus," Lauren, how hard was it for you to stay in character as she's performing this in Joan's office?
It was just hilarious. It was just really fun. I mean, I think it's on a blooper reel where I'm like laughing so hard I just couldn't control myself. But also I had fear. Like Jane throws herself around the room like at 150% every time, and I was like, you don't have to do it 150%. Just do it. Try 100 like a normal person. Yeah. Throws herself all around.
So true.
I was just afraid. Like we would get to the point in a day. Sometimes there were really long days, and it's just nobody had done this before. To take on what this challenge was just half of it was just figuring out how many hours do we need to do certain things, and Jane would get like a look in her eyes at hour 14, and I'd be like, no, conserve. You're gonna fly off the rails if you keep working this hard. I was like, just take, So it was just fun to be part of and fun to watch everybody.
You guys are making me sweat. I'm like profusely sweating hearing you talk about me, but thank you.
Well, let's talk about the song selections. Did any of you have any song requests that you asked the showrunner and creator Austin Winsberg if you could have your character sing, or were you just like at the mercy of whatever was written in the script for your character?
All the songs I want to sing are like Joni Mitchell and Carole King, and like nothing songs that I love that probably wouldn't make for like a splashy number. The song I am obsessed with trying to get next season is the King George song from Hamilton, You'll Be Back.
Oh, so good.
Because I just feel like it's such a Joan song to be like,
yeah,
you think you can do this without me, and you can't. And I just love that musical. So that's the one that I keep asking him. He's like, oh, you told me that already. What else? And I'm like, that.
Well, that would be the perfect moment to bring back a certain Hamilton guest star that you had season 1.
Or how about bringing other Hamiltons like Hamilton? I think, what if I sang it to him? Oh, it would be so good.
That would be amazing.
Lauren and I back too.
Lauren, I have to ask you about your rendition of TikTok on Top of a Bar, because that was a true season highlight. What was it like filming that scene?
It was harrowing to rehearse because there was no way to do it without some subtext of like, I'm the sexiest person alive, and that is a very hard place for me to even visit, let alone live in it. And I just had to like flip a switch and forget any sense of feeling self-conscious. And once I did, then then I couldn't be stopped. Then I was obnoxiously like, trying to like, I was like, everything was a stripper pole. And, like, I was like, ooh, the bar, the chair, the guy, the thing. So that was a really fun thing. Of course, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and this bar was disgusting and smelly, and Jane was not feeling well, and you have to do a number of times before they even have a take. A lot of these musical numbers are one take. So you have to find it's hard to do some of those moves over and over. And I just started to like have spaghetti legs. And so you kind of have to gauge when everything's going to come together in terms of background and camera and, playback. And so it was a challenge, but it was really, really fun.
I hadn't slept the night before. I was like dying, and Lauren was like, dancing on a bar and getting on some man's shoulders. And I turned around at one point and I looked at the crew, and everybody was just beaming. Like it really, it changes the particles in the air. TikTok I have that memory of being like tired and then looking over and being like, wow, this is magic. Everybody's so happy. Our show is not a musical TV show in that, in the traditional sense of hiring really great performers who can sing and dance songs really. Say what? Oh, meaning like we don't hire great performers? That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I mean, this isn't a show. Wait. This isn't a show about people who can sing really well performing numbers super well. It's about like
dig it a little bit deeper, Jay.
Well, and in both cases, they just kind of meet you wherever you are. Like, you don't have to be, especially with dance. That was probably, I think, for many of us, the most intimidating thing, even more than singing, because there's no place to hide. There's no technical, adjustment to be made if you can't move your body. But you don't have to be, we're not all at the same level, which is sort of speaking to what you're saying, but she just sort of meets you where you are and does, and makes you feel like that's enough. And, that's all you need to tell this particular story. And I loved too, like when Skylar, I forget what song it is, but when Skylar was singing to you as him, not in the reality, Zoe's reality, but in reality, he had to kind of take it down and not be so fantastic, because that wouldn't seem real for that character. So I just love how it just gives us all this freedom to play with fantasy and reality. And I think that's something that's special about the show too, is we don't know where these powers are going or where they came from or how they might shift and change. And that's, I think, going to be a big part of next season. It'll be really cool to see.
Jane, for that episode where you were performing all 6 numbers, did you get any sleep, or were you just running on no sleep at all?
It was really helpful to have Lauren with me. I felt like Lauren was my spirit guide mentor because of her experience on Gilmore Girls, and TV veteran, incredible actress and good friend of mine. And she was really helpful.
And another layer to the emotionality of the show is that it was based on, Austin Winsberg, the creator. He based this off of his experience losing his father to a degenerative neurological disease.
It just added a layer to the show because we all just cared that much more, to make everything live up to what Austin's expectations probably were. I mean, and he as a boss, it's the least, I don't even know what I mean by this, but like he just was really one of us. Like he invited feedback, he invited conversation, he, was accessible, and he was just so generous. So it just gave the whole thing it was like on top of all the magical sort of qualities, we were there for a real reason, and it just added another dimension. And just even things like the idea that Peter Gallagher, the actor, wouldn't be around, is a lot. The most charming person alive. You don't want to lose that person as your, castmate. So the real mixed bag. And I just speaking tonally about the show, it's what I am always drawn to, and they're very hard to find, is life is neither straight up comedy nor a drama. It's both. And the shows I like and have gotten to be part of are both. And so gratifying.
And then switching gears, something that felt so revolutionary while watching this season was seeing Zoe's relationships with her mother and her boss evolve and grow, since they're 2 very different but equally supportive female role models in her life. And that was so amazing to see this season. So what was it like getting to showcase that, especially since, looking at Joan, she could have so easily fallen into like a trope or the caricature of like the mean boss, but thankfully she became so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a testament. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that's a testament to Lauren Graham, and you really pushed for that. And you were saying you didn't think that it women in the workplace have to be that way, you know? And, you know, Lauren and I are friends outside of work, and Lauren really pushed for this relationship moving towards friendship between Joan and Zoe, even though Joan is weird and doesn't know how to do it in the most like normal, friendly way. But, and I read that that's what audience members really respond to is this loving relationship, not that's awkward and funny, but like not just the stereotypical mean female boss. Sorry, Lauren, you take it.
I just thought, what is the reality of a person who is one of the only women in her industry? Well, yes, she's tough, but she would like more allies. She wishes things were different. I would never, you know, when we have these discussions, I'd be like, there's no way she would want to keep Zoe down, because everything she's fought for is you know, she had to sort of pioneer her way here. And even if she's tricky or a little bee or, you know, frustrated that everyone else isn't as quick as she is, she would be in her own distorted way trying to mentor someone. I just always thought, and Jane and I would talk about this, she just doesn't know how to do that. You know, she doesn't maybe have a ton of girlfriends or even time to have friends. So that awkwardness was a really fun area where I was like, what if you're, you know, a woman who's lived most of her life really doesn't know how to have a girlfriend? And I just thought that was funny and kind of more specific than just like, she's tough because she has to be, you know. I was just, we were always trying to find the, you know, sometimes she overshares. She's telling Zoe about her sex life. Like she just doesn't get it. She doesn't have normal boundaries. That was really fun.
Would you three all be interested in singing a song together on the show next season? I think that would be such an incredible opportunity that we have not yet gotten to see.
Hell yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be really fun.
I could expand it 3-part harmony.
Yes.